Before the clouds were pierced by steel needles, the island of Manhattan was a rugged wilderness of schist and forest. Imagine a world where the only towers were the ancient trees stretching toward an untouched sky. The Dutch settlers arrived, bringing with them the gabled roofs of Amsterdam to a land that would soon be transformed beyond recognition. What began as a humble colonial trading post was destined to become the epicenter of global ambition. From the first stone foundations laid in the mud to the crystalline peaks of modern supertalls, New York's architecture is a mirror of humanity's reach. Every street, every brick, and every girder tells a story of dreams pushed to the absolute limit. We are not just looking at buildings, we are observing the physical manifestation of American enterprise and grit. Beneath the layers of concrete and glass lies the secret history of a city that never stops building. Join us as we uncover how an island of rock became the vertical frontier of the modern world. As the 19th century dawned, the Commission's plan of 1811 laid down a rigid grid that would define the city's expansion for centuries. This mathematical precision transformed the landscape, turning chaotic trails into a structured map of infinite possibilities. Out of this order emerged the iconic brownstone, a rhythmic sea of stoops and wrought iron railings that gave the city its human scale. These residential rowhouses became the backbone of Brooklyn and Manhattan, blending European classicism with local materials. They were built for families and merchants, lining the streets with a warm, reddish hue that defined the late 1800s aesthetic. Each house was a fortress of privacy, yet part of a grand, collective neighborhood identity that still stands today. The brownstone era was a time of consolidation, where the city found its rhythm between the commerce of the docks and the quiet of the home. It represents a period of stability, elegance, and the slow maturation of a city finding its pulse. The grid provided the frame, but the brownstones provided the heart, creating a living city that felt both grand and intimate. In the mid-1800s, the Industrial Revolution brought a radical new material to the city's facade: cast iron. Architects discovered that they could mass-produce ornate, classical decorations in iron, allowing even modest commercial buildings to look like marble palaces. Neighborhoods like Soho transformed into vibrant galleries of white-painted, pillared storefronts that dazzled the eye. This technology allowed for larger windows, flooding once dim warehouses with the natural light necessary for the bustling trade of the era. Cast iron was the bridge between the heavy stone past and the light-filled, vertical future of the city. It allowed builders to experiment with height and transparency, proving that the city's architecture could be both functional and beautiful. These districts remain some of the most distinct architectural gems in the city, standing as relics of a time when industry was synonymous with elegance. The cast iron palaces redefined how the city did business, creating an environment that was as visually stunning as it was economically powerful. It was a bold display of vanity and innovation, signaling to the world that New York was a city of substance and style. The invention of the safety elevator and the perfection of the steel frame signaled the death of the height limit. Suddenly, the city's architects looked at the sky and saw not a barrier, but a destination. In 1890, the New York World Building soared over the Skyline, claiming the title of the world's tallest and proving the impossible was achievable. This was the birth of the skyscraper, a new species of building that prioritized verticality above all else. Engineers grappled with the sheer weight of these structures, learning to build foundations that could anchor them to the island's hard bedrock. It was a time of wild experimentation, where every new building sought to outdo the last in height and splendor. These early towers were often cloaked in historical garb, wearing Gothic or Renaissance costumes to mask their raw, industrial power. They were the cathedrals of commerce, symbols of a city that had decided to stop expanding outward and start conquering the clouds. The skyline became a competitive battlefield, where stature equated to success and ambition had no ceiling. As the city approached the turn of the century, the Beaux-Arts style brought a new sense of monumental grandeur. Inspired by the École de Beaux-Arts in Paris, architects infused the city with neoclassical symmetry, majestic columns, and elaborate statuary. Grand Central Terminal became the crown jewel of this movement, a cathedral of transportation that greeted millions with its celestial ceiling. These buildings were designed to inspire awe, serving as civic landmarks that reminded citizens of the city's growing international power. Beaux-Arts was the language of the elite, used for libraries, museums, and train stations to elevate the public experience. It combined the technological advancements of steel with the aesthetic beauty of ancient Roman and Greek forms. The city became a stage for these grand facades, with marble and limestone replacing the iron of the previous generation. It was a time when beauty was a requirement for public life, turning every walk through the city into a journey through a living museum of classicism. In 1902, the Flatiron Building defied geometry, rising on a sharp, triangular plot of land at 23rd Street. Its unique form became an instant icon, showcasing how the city's street grid could create architectural anomalies of breathtaking beauty. However, as towers grew denser, they began to choke the streets below, cutting off sunlight and air from the city's arteries. The outcry led to the landmark 1916 zoning resolution, a regulation that forced skyscrapers to step back as they rose. This mandate changed the silhouette of the city, giving birth to the famous wedding cake architecture of the early 20th century. Architects turned this restriction into an art form, sculpting the skyscrapers into slender, tiered masterpieces. The city's skyline transformed from a jagged, cluttered collection of boxes into a rhythmic, graceful landscape of rising platforms. It was a brilliant marriage of bureaucracy and design, ensuring that even the tallest towers played their part in the city's collective light and air. The Flatiron stood as a reminder of the raw ambition of the past, while the tiered towers heralded a new, thoughtful era. The 1920s brought the optimism of the Jazz Age, and with it, the shimmering, opulent style of Art Deco. Skyscrapers became vertical expressions of speed, wealth, and modernity, featuring geometric patterns and metallic spires. The Chrysler Building, with its sunburst crown and gargoyle hood ornaments, became the ultimate symbol of corporate vanity and stylistic daring. Rockefeller Center rose as a city within a city, a masterclass in urban planning that balanced public space with towering office blocks. These buildings were adorned with stylized reliefs and luxurious materials, celebrating the machine age in every surface. Art Deco was the visual language of the Roaring Twenties, capturing the optimism of a society on the verge of greatness. It was a time when architecture was not just about utility, it was about excitement, glamour, and the joy of progress. The city sparkled with the energy of this era, turning the night sky into a glowing testament to human ingenuity. Even today, these structures remain the soul of the Manhattan skyline, icons of an age that dared to dream in chrome and light. Completed in 1931, the Empire State Building stood as a beacon of hope during the darkest days of the Great Depression. Its rapid construction was a feat of industrial prowess, rising at a record-breaking pace while the rest of the world stood still. With its limestone facade and sleek, set-back design, it captured the collective imagination of a nation in need of a hero. For 40 years, it remained the tallest building in the world, a permanent reminder of New York's dominance. The building was more than an office tower, it was a testament to the fact that even in the face of economic collapse, the city would not stop reaching. Its observation deck offered a view of the world that few had ever seen, turning the city into a sprawling map of light and history. Tourists and locals alike looked up at its spire, finding in its sturdy form a symbol of durability and persistence. It was the ultimate architectural triumph of the pre-war era, a towering giant that anchored the city's identity for generations. After the devastation of World War II, the city turned away from the ornate costumes of the past and embraced the sleek, transparent future of modernism. Steel and glass curtain walls became the new aesthetic, stripping away the decoration to reveal the pure, honest structure of the building. The Seagram Building, designed by Mies van der Rohe, set the gold standard with its bronze-and-glass elegance and its welcoming front plaza. Modernism championed the mantra, "Less is more," creating buildings that felt light, airy, and effortlessly refined. Glass towers rose across Midtown, reflecting the sky and the city's changing moods with every hour. These structures were designed for efficiency and clarity, representing the new, corporate face of a global city. While some critics lamented the loss of historical character, others saw a new kind of beauty in the minimalist precision of the glass facade. It was a quiet revolution that replaced the heavy stone of the past with the shimmering, transparent walls of the post-industrial age. In the 1970s, the World Trade Center rose to redefine the skyline, a pair of massive, minimalist monoliths that seemed to hover above the city. Their scale was unprecedented, and their design polarized critics who questioned their stark, aluminum-clad exteriors. Yet, for thousands of New Yorkers, they became the undeniable anchors of the southern horizon, a symbol of the city's post-war power. The towers stood as a bold, final statement of the modernist era, rising straight and tall without the traditional setbacks. They housed a world of commerce, becoming a city within a city that pulsed with activity day and night. For decades, they were the landmarks that told you exactly where you were, a vertical compass point for millions of commuters. Their presence shaped the experience of the harbor, creating a sense of scale that dwarfed everything else in lower Manhattan. Though they were tragically taken, their architectural imprint on the city remains, serving as a solemn reminder of the fragility of even the greatest human constructions. By the 1980s, architects were growing tired of the strict, sterile glass boxes and began to inject a sense of irony and history back into design. Postmodernism brought back color, ornament, and classical references, but with a tongue-in-cheek, contemporary twist. The AT&T Building, now 550 Madison, famously topped its skyscraper with a pediment that looked like a giant Chippendale cabinet. Buildings became sculptures, using shapes and materials to express personality rather than just corporate utility. This period was a celebration of architectural freedom, where rules were meant to be bent, broken, and reinterpreted. Neighborhoods saw a flurry of creative, eccentric designs that added depth and humor to the city's rigid streetscapes. It was an era that valued visual storytelling, creating buildings that were not just functional, but also engaging, provocative, and impossible to ignore. Postmodernism brought a sense of lightheartedness back to the city, proving that the skyline didn't always have to take itself so seriously. In the aftermath of 2001, the city faced the daunting challenge of healing its skyline and reclaiming its identity. The construction of One World Trade Center became a symbol of resilience, a crystalline spire that reached the symbolic height of 1,776 feet. Its design combined modern technological safety with a reflective glass skin that seems to dissolve into the clouds. Simultaneously, the city witnessed a wave of super-tall residential towers rising along 57th Street, slender needles that pierced the sky with impossible delicacy. These buildings pushed the limits of engineering, utilizing massive dampers and steel cores to withstand the force of high-altitude winds. New York was reinventing itself once more, proving that its capacity for growth was as strong as ever. The new skyline was a blend of memory and ambition, honoring the past while reaching boldly into the future. Each new tower was a testament to the city's ability to recover, transform, and emerge stronger from its most difficult moments. Today, the architecture of New York is defined by a new urgency, sustainability and the integration of nature into the urban grid. Developers are now prioritizing energy-efficient materials, vertical gardens, and intelligent design to reduce the city's massive carbon footprint. High-tech glazing and smart building systems are turning the traditional skyscraper into an active, breathing organism. Public spaces like the High Line have transformed abandoned industrial infrastructure into elevated, lush parks, weaving nature into the heart of the city's architecture. Architects are rethinking how buildings connect with the street, focusing on pedestrian experience and public accessibility. The goal is to create a city that is not only visually stunning but also resilient to the challenges of a changing climate. It is the next chapter in New York's story, where technology serves the environment rather than just the ego of the builder. The city is learning to be softer, greener, and more thoughtful in how it occupies the land, ensuring that it remains livable for the centuries to come. Beyond the steel and glass, the true soul of New York's architecture is found in how people interact with it every day. It is in the stoops of the brownstones, the bustling lobbies of the skyscrapers, and the hidden courtyards tucked away from the main streets. Architecture in this city is not just a backdrop, it is a participant in the lives of millions, shaping how they move, work, and connect. The diversity of the city's styles reflects the diversity of the people who have made it their home over the centuries. Whether you live in a tiny, historic apartment or a soaring glass penthouse, the architecture is a constant presence in your life. It provides the rhythm of your commute, the light of your home, and the landmarks of your city. For New Yorkers, the buildings are more than objects, they are old friends, imposing giants, and familiar silhouettes that define the place we call home. We are the ones who give these structures life, filling the canyons of steel with our noise, our art, and our endless ambition. From the first Dutch gables to the latest, record-breaking supertalls, New York's architecture is a testament to the human spirit's desire to rise. It is a city that never stops challenging the laws of gravity, economics, and design. Through fire, disaster, and change, the skyline has only ever moved in one direction, upward. We look at New York today and see a collection of millions of individual dreams, all stacked one on top of the other. It is the greatest architectural gallery on earth, an ever-evolving map of our collective ingenuity. As the city continues to build, to rethink, and to dream, one thing remains certain: New York will always be the vertical frontier of the world. The story of its architecture is the story of us, a history written in glass, stone, and the unbreakable will to reach for the sky. Thank you for joining us on this journey through the history of the world's most iconic city. Keep looking up, for the story is still being written, one girder at a time. If you enjoyed this documentary, please like this video and subscribe to the channel for more incredible history documentaries. What surprised you the most about the evolution of New York City's architecture? Leave your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to share this documentary with your friends and family.